Jujutsu Kaisen is in its final saga, and with Gege planning to end the manga, the story has left fans worried that their questions won't be answered, such as, what is Yuji's true power and origin? What happened to Todo and Nobara? And the truth behind the Heian Era with Sukuna. But first, I asked you guys for your questions. Let's see what kind of intellectual response I got. Well, it is true that Yuji's entire family is one big mystery, and with him being the main character, it needs to be addressed before the story ends. In fact, what other manga have you read where it's reached the final saga and the MC's true purpose is still a mystery? By this point, they're meant to be the chosen one.
I'm so sick of this company.
The seed was planted all the way back in chapter 1 when Yuji refused to hear what his grandpa had to say about his parents. Even when talking to Junpei, Yuji confirms that he doesn't remember anything about them, nor has he ever met his mother. This is despite Jin informing us that they should be careful what to say around Yuji, as babies remember more than you think. Yuji's grandpa left a harsh warning to his son. According to him, Kaori had died, but since she came back, there was certainly something fishy going on. In fact, Jin's life was in danger. This is all connected to Yuji's abnormal strength and athleticism as a kid, where he casually broke records before knowing about curse energy. In fact, when Megami mentions stuff like Yuji being capable of beating both schools all at once with his strength alone, or even assuming he had heavenly restriction, we start to ask even more questions. By chapter 143, it's revealed it was Kenjaku, where things made a bit more sense. But it also spawned even more questions, such as why Kaori and how? In the past, Kenjaku's vessels had been strong sorcerers, be it Norutoshi Kamo for his experiments, or even Suguru Geto, who had the one curse technique he needed to create Tengen's merger with sorcerers. So why all of a sudden did he want this no-name woman just so he could take back shots from a no-name man?
That doesn't make no sense, my man.
Especially since Kenjaku admits that he lived 1,000 years of conflicts and alliances, taking careful steps to achieve his ideals and dreams, unlike Master Tengen. This results in him taking pride in creating Yuji, as seen when he thanked his school friends for being there for him in chapter 160. After all, he was the one who told Yuji he expects great things from him. Yeah, he's still not seen the result of those great things. Kenjaku's main goal was to create a new form of curse energy, and he had high hopes for his half-breeds. However, Choso and the others turned out to be failures due to being too ordinary, as whatever he created did not exceed the bounds of his own potential, which led to the idea of the merger. In chapter 203, Yuji is called the fire signal that was the start of a new era, where Kenjaku ensured his son would eat Sukuna's finger. But what did he mean by as long as Yuji and Sukuna coexist, the cycles of curses will never end? Many people believe Kenjaku did this so that he could finally create a being that can offer Sukuna a challenge, as they were friends. But what do you know? Instead, Sukuna can't stop dissing the man and is his #1 hater. However, given that Sukuna states in chapter 248 that Yuji holds the strongest soul and ideal that can never break, we start to understand that a main character moment needs to occur for Jujutsu Kaisen's manga to end. Especially since Kenjaku confirmed a person's curse technique is a reflection of someone's soul, pointing towards Sukuna being evil incarnate and selfish. But what will Yuji's domain be since he is the opposite of him? As a result, the community theorizes that the thing that sets Yuji's family apart from the rest is because his lineage links back to Sukuna, which is an understandable trail of thought when you see how similar they all look. But we know this isn't the case, people. As Gege confirmed, Sukuna had no wife, no kids, no nothing. So for the series to have a satisfying conclusion, this plot point is integral. We know Yuji's Kenjaku's memories very briefly came back to him after he died against Yuta. But since then, this thread hasn't been touched. And now that I think about it, there are a lot of other questions that are connected to Kenjaku that needs a conclusion besides this one. For example, how did he become friends with Sukuna and Tengen? Remember, even the Drav dude was from 2000 years ago, and Tengen is 1200. Secondly, what was Kenjaku's curse technique? How did he learn to split a soul into cursed objects to teach Sukuna in the first place? Kenny himself is aware of this problem. On multiple occasions, his exposition has been cut short before he can finish explaining and yapping. We saw this happen when he explained the culling games to Uroume. The same goes for talking about Tengen claiming she's not telling the complete truth. And even in chapter 249, he states to Yuta, "Now, if I use the culling game as a basis for overwriting the originator of the ritual for merging." And then what? What, Kenjaku? What? Tell us, please!
He's been saying this for 4 years. Show us. Just show us. Stop playing around.
So Kenjaku's cutscenes keep getting skipped because he's the king of yapping. One reason he may have picked Kaori Itadori specifically, however, might have nothing to do with Yuji altogether and have more to do with his mother's totally busted curse technique. We saw Kenjaku use this against Yuki to save him from a black hole and certain death. But we also learned that curse techniques are engraved in the brain, which Kenjaku replaced. He can hijack a person's curse technique when taking over their body, as the body and soul are one in the same. Thus, if the brain is where the curse technique is stored, Kenjaku has that information available to him by piloting the body. But this is where we need answers regarding the true nature of what Kenjaku's innate technique is, because he was still able to use Kaori's even after leaving her body behind. Does this mean the techniques of those he hijacks carry over into the next? If that's the case, how many does he have? And why hasn't he used them? Chapter 205 revealed to us that there's a limit to the amount of curse techniques the brain can handle. But if Kenjaku has his own, plus Kaori's, Geto's, and the others throughout history, like the Kamo's blood manipulation and whatever technique this guy had 400 years ago, how else can we explain Kenjaku hanging around with the top dogs in history? Where does he draw the line? Was he a bum that just kept losing fighting farmers? Oh wait, yeah, he lost to 2 6-eyes users that we still don't know nothing about.
I am so confused right now.
Now, Kenjaku's will is to create chaos and optimize curse energy, which was then given to the king Sukuna. He stated he will cut up all the ideals of those facing him. If he's bored, he will activate the merger to face Tengen's new monster. But what is it? We know Kenny wants to merge every human in Japan, creating an entirely new stage of evolution. But because every mind will become one, it takes just one evil Japanese citizen to turn this thing into a rampaging monster, whose strength may be beyond that of even Sukuna. This way, all sorcerers, curses, and everything in between will be forced to grow stronger and catch up to this thing's level. It's a method of forced evolution where only the strong survive. Kenjaku is the opposite of Yuki and her research, which she handed to Yuji Itadori. Yuki wanted to get rid of curse energy altogether, which leaves options open for Gege on how he wants to end the story. No one knows what the monster would look like, leaving us with the anticipation to see what's being cooked up. But speaking of cooking, where is that Sukuna Heian Era arc at? Bruh, I need that shit. Please, Gege, please. I want to see that man eat some people, fam.
What did you just say to me?
This is when the golden period of Jujutsu sorcery was at its peak, and the entire reason the whole story is happening. Kenjaku wanted to bring this back. It was that good. The golden age of sorcery has been hyped up so hard on so many occasions in the story, yet we haven't seen shit of it. Bruh, Gege is giving the whole community blue balls. But let's rewind back. For example, Sukuna doesn't have many people he considers to be close to him. Nowadays, it's just Uruume, which makes us think, how did she land her position as a ride or die? Well, Gege confirmed Uruume has excellent talent as a chef, especially when it comes to serving humans and curses. Their talent for the culinary arts were recognized by Sukuna, which was the reason why he allowed them to serve at his side, since he has an appetite for human flesh. Otherwise, Yorizu would be standing by his side. And we saw how that turned out. Dead. This means Sukuna isn't interested in the punani, nor having a family, nor love. Then what? To get that buddy-buddy with Sukuna, you have to be able to offer him something really good. Kenjaku mentioned a promise they have together in chapter 221, which is the reason Gojo assumed they have a binding vow. If you didn't know, Sukuna, Kenjaku, and Tengen ended up being a trio of acquaintances. Kenjaku referred to Tengen as an old friend upon her death, and she even ended up modeling her evolved form on Sukuna's true appearance. But that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of what we must learn about Sukuna and his past. For example, what led him to growing into the idea of becoming a natural calamity? We know he was an unwanted child, but was that truly all it took to become the strongest and most feared sorcerer of all time? It links back to the question Kashimo brought up in chapter 237. Are you born the strongest, or did you earn that title? As Sukuna is also one of the few characters of utilizing multiple curse techniques. Aside from cleave and dismantle, Sukuna's black box goes much deeper than we thought, as he used a fire technique strong enough to defeat Jogo, and also made Kusakabe realize that the fire alone would game end their hopes of winning. But what is the true nature of this black box really? What else does Sukuna have, and why? What we know so far is that a sorcerer's curse technique is placed in a black box, roughly around the right prefrontal cortex. The brain is a black box system that Sukuna opens to access. He can activate an open domain and paint a picture on air without a canvas, something that is defined as truly divine and beyond human, as he's running software of his curse techniques without the hardware. But no one knows how Sukuna achieved this level of power. Gege has stated that the information is there if fans do some research, leading us and many others to wonder if it's linked to the 12 Deva paths of Buddhism. For example, Sukuna's hand sign is revealed to resemble Enma-ten, who is the king of hell and protects the south direction where people go to die. But we can't mention Sukuna's curse technique and not bring up the truth behind what Yuji is capable of. Gojo himself said it would be a matter of time before Yuji would be able to use the King of Curses technique. But, time is running out, Gege, and we're yet to see it. In fact, Yuta has managed to use cleave and dismantle before Yuji.
You can't keep getting away with it!
So whilst we await the day Yuji does fulfill Gojo's prophecy, we also need to address the secret behind his other abilities. Gojo stated that Yuji has no innate talent or technique, yet we see him whipping out blood manipulation, transformed arms, soul swap, and even memory manipulation. We know Yuji understands that the mind, body, and soul are all interconnected as one. This is also backed up by Yuji's stupidly strong soul, which is how he could suppress Sukuna entirely in a cage, something that Gojo said only happens every 1000 years. Mahito also mentioned how 10% of Yuji's soul strength was enough to defeat a special grade spirit. And because the body is the soul and the soul the body, it explains how memories are shared when a body is taken over, such as how Kenjaku remembered Geto's entire friendship with Gojo just to use it against him, or how Sukuna knew all about Megami and Yuji's memories. But you know what's crazy? The information of the body and soul is different. In chapter 147, Yaga explained the secret of his curse technique. You replicate soul information from physical information, then input that into the curse corpse core. This means that the body and soul are simply strings of information that go hand in hand with each other. Because Yuji's soul is built different, it's theorized that he's able to adjust the information of others to make a person imagine new memories, such as with Todo and Choso. No, I'm not gonna accept the explanation that, yeah, Todo's a schizophrenic and Choso somehow got new memories just because he's related to Yuji. In an interview, Gege stated they happen for different reasons, but for a memory, a literal memory of information to be born into their brain seems awfully convenient for Yuji's plot armor, as it wasn't even a curse technique. Furthermore, within a month of time skip, Yuji leveled up a lot. Now, he put it down to hard work, whereas Yuta revealed they cheated. So I want to know why and how Yuji has catapulted himself into the upper echelons of Jujutsu sorcery, despite only learning about curse energy a few months ago. But talking of just learning about curse energy, what's happening with USA and China? Gege dropped an absolute bombshell with Kenjaku revealing the truth to them about a new source of energy that could run their entire nation. Yet you're telling me the USA and China don't care? Let's be real for 2 seconds here. If America knew another country had a resource they didn't, it would take them 20 minutes to stage a conflict and give reason for them to invade so they can take it for themselves. With the release of chapter 255 confirming that the body type of those outside of Japan can be abnormally stronger than most sorcerers in Japan, it makes you think, how many Sukuna level threats are actually out there? The US is 25 times larger than Japan, and with the conflicts constantly happening there, curse spirits would run rampant. They would have over 1,000 Sukuna overnight. Gege even made fun out of this idea, where America instantly wanted to kidnap Gojo to have infinite energy from his 6 eyes. The whole world knows about curse energy now, which cannot be left aside as if it didn't happen. That knowledge causes wars. Now speaking of 6 eyes, why is this dude not ditched them yet to come back? I'm running out of copium, man.
It's not looking good, Bev.
Actually, where is the rest of Gojo's family? We are told it's part of the 3 prestigious families, and it's a one-man army. But how come we haven't seen a single family member yet? Everyone thinks the origin of Gojo's family stems from Sugawara no Michizane, as Sugawara were a real-life family that was founded in the year 781. They served as scholars and government officials in the imperial court. However, this clan was divided into 6 branches later on, one of which was Satoru Gojo's family. The first sorcerer connected by blood to the 6 Eyes and Limitless must be Michizane 1000 years ago, because just like Gojo, he was an incredibly gifted child, becoming a scholar and scoring a place in the court at a very young age. He later became known as one of the 3 vengeful spirits of Japan, as he was a big shot sorcerer in the Heian Era. Gojo found out in the prequel that his student Yuta Akutsu was his distant relative, as they are descendants of him. Gojo told us in chapter 12 that 80% of talent in a sorcerer stems from genetics, which tells us why he and Yuta are so skilled in Jujutsu with high curse energy reserves. Gege Akutami confirmed that Gojo grew up quite pampered by his family, essentially being treated as a king and spoiled rotten. But now, why do they not care that he's dying? Hello? But I guess given how Jujutsu society is going to reset, where the Kamo and Zenin clans have been completely annihilated at this point, it seems like it won't matter to the conclusion anymore. But what does matter is Todo and Nobara's situation. Todo said his curse technique is dead and hasn't been around for over 100 chapters, just like Nobara's status isn't known. It's been over 1,262 days since she has even been in the manga, and Yuji asked about her to Megumi, where he didn't give an answer. However, later on, Itadori was afraid Hana Kurisu was replacing her role in their group, which goes to show that this story thread needs to end since Yuji cares so much. However, let me know what questions you have in the comment section below, and to enjoy more peak fiction, find out who is the strongest Saiyan in Dragon Ball right now, as they all gained a new transformation.